Awesome. Trust everyone's well. Very special guest today. Very good friend of mine, Shihan. I respect this man a lot. He's been a valid mentor to me as well over the years. Everyone, I'd like to introduce you to Shihan Jimmy Phillips from South Coast of Sydney. Shihan, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Yours. Hi, Patch. Thank you. Thank you very much. I know we've been trying to catch up for a while, mate, and I've been putting you off, but you know what? With this COVID thing, it's a great time to catch up.
Shihan, really appreciate it. Yes, we have, but you know, I knew you would come good in the long run. So, Shihan, I'm glad I've got you. We've got a cool hour here. I know we could talk for a long, long time, but this is for a lot of people, you know, that do know you, that haven't heard from you, and that don't know you. You know, there's a lot of students that may have missed your era. So I'm looking forward to going through the, you know, the past, present, future with you. Highlighting, I'm sure you can highlight a number of things, but you know, feel free to point out some stories that some people may have heard of, that rehash memories, and some that, you know, we may not have. So here we go. You know, I'm looking forward to this. So Shihan, I start off with everyone and it gets the ball rolling. What got you started into Kyokushin Karate or into martial arts, and how old were you when you did?
Yeah. Look, my journey goes back basically from New Zealand. You know, like everyone knows that I'm, you know, people that know me know that I'm New Zealand born, you know, like my mum's, you know, full Maori and dad's, you know, Pākehā or white. And I came across to Australia in I think it was the late 60s as a 15-year-old, actually, like 15. I think I had my 16th birthday here. And I was on a discovery journey. I came over here with a cousin of mine, and he told me all about Australia because he had been over here before. And we used to practice back in New Zealand. We were practicing boxing and judo. So, you know, like, and we're pretty, you know, like I would say, you know, like, and at that time, karate wasn't a big thing. The thing that interested me in taking up karate was the Bruce Lee era, right? When I came to Australia, the Bruce Lee era had hit, and it was just amazing, you know, like every man and his dog, you know, was looking at Bruce Lee and doing kung fu and things like this. And yeah, you know, that's how I got into it.
Very good. So you get into it, and then it was your path into a Kyokushin dojo by coincidence, from obsession, you know, looking at something. How did that come about?
Yeah, no, look, my path in going into a Kyokushin dojo, I actually started in Sydney at the YMCA. John Taylor, who's now a Hanshi John Taylor, was my first teacher. He was, at that time, he had just come back from Japan and had just been awarded he just graded to third dan.
Nice.
I was just totally beginner, and I went in and had a look at the class, and you know, like, this is prior to going to have a look at Taekwondo and all the other styles that are around, and the styles didn't suit me because of the contact. I was looking at something that was more, you know, like boxing, you know, like a bit more contact. So, and then I walked into the YMCA with a friend of mine, Ray Brown, and he started training, and he said, look, come and have a look at this. And I was amazed, these guys doing these push-ups on his knuckles, and I'm going, wow, this is great, you know, like, and they're fighting, and you know, the kicking techniques in those days weren't great. They weren't, you know, like, I have to say to you, like, in those days, the roundhouse kick, you know, like, which is Kyokushin's favorite takedown technique now, was pretty non-existent.
Okay.
The maigiri, like a back leg maigiri or a reverse punch, right, was the takedown at the time. And also, you know, close combat, like takedowns with judo throws and things like this, right? And then, following up on ground control. That's how we used to fight in those days. And it was full contact to the face.
Yeah.
So, we had a lot of people start, but not a lot finish.
Well, there you go. That's cool. So you get your teeth in there. You're young, energetic. You're in Oz, and you're starting to, I guess, get into your late teens, and from there, what triggered you towards the black belt, the holy grail of the black belt when you started? How was that, and what was your thoughts on seeing everyone in this dojo, back then at the word dojo, and the great man, the founder of Kyokushin, Sosai Mas Oyama?
Look, like when I started karate, black belt was a long way off an ambition of mine. I was happy just to be fighting. I was actually I enjoyed fighting. I enjoyed training hard. And to me, a black belt didn't matter because I was at white belt right up to blue belt. I was taking down black belts anyway, so I didn't find a difference between a black belt or a white belt at that time. I just enjoyed the fight.
Good one.
So I mean they had better like good strength, good technique, but I think for me, I was more natural, at fighting. I think it was because of my upbringing. A bit more mongrel, style.
Yeah,
it wasn't flash, but it worked for me.
Very good. So you entered, is it a tournament thing for you? Were you working at that time here? And were you training, or was it just I'm devoting training? How did you start to proceed, I guess? Or find where was that switch for you?
Yeah, look, in those times in the 60s or 70s, a young guy came from New Zealand called Selwyn Jones. Selwyn, not a lot of people heard of Selwyn Jones, but he had a big impact on me. Selwyn Jones was a Golden Gloves boxer, and he came from New Zealand, and he wasn't a kicker. Well, he was far means he wasn't very flexible, but he was very, very talented with putting punches and things like this together. Very fit and very focused. We only used to train at that time a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday. So the rest of your training, the training sessions were about 2 hours each. And from that time, the rest of your training was done outside. So you did that on your own. Now with people like Selwyn Jones, another guy, a Swedish guy, Maury, who used to train with us as well. We used to get together on the weekends and any time spare we had and just actually practice and practice and practice. Now, we weren't looking towards tournaments. We just wanted to be good at what we were doing.
That's it. So, and that would have been, the camaraderie and the mateship of, and the community feel, I guess, that continues to just go day by day, year by year, and then all of a sudden, you've turned yourselves into some strong young men.
Yeah. They look, the first. I mean, the first. Probably the first time I fought my sensei, like John Taylor, I remember that, because, as I said, full contact to the face in those days.
Yeah.
And, he'd line us up, bring us up, and we'd start sparring us. And it was all full contact, to the face and things like this. And I remember the first time, he punched a friend of mine, Ray Brown, straight in the face, and his teeth went flying, and and JT that time stopped and went, what was going on? It was really funny.
Yeah.
Ray had a plate, false bottom teeth, and they just went flying across the dojo, and he couldn't believe it. So then my fight's the next fight, and guess what? You know what? I'm going really good with it. I'm standing toe to toe, bang, 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 and next minute, a spinning back elbow, bang, takes out my bottom teeth. I'm going, wow, like boom, but no knockout. We still carry on.
Nice.
Nice. And there was no, that in saying that, it was really like it was accepted. It was accepted that you were going to get hurt, you were going to get knocked out. So we weren't afraid of it. Like we weren't afraid of getting hurt. We weren't worried about, have you got health cover?
Insurances and everything.
I'm going to sue the instructor or things like this. No, there was none of that. Like it was just part of the game.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah. Well, there you go, guys. For everyone listening, let's harden up a little bit. I think that's what Shihan's trying to say. And but Shihan, that's very cool. So you get again, I guess the view of what this style brings. And I mentioned Sosai. How did you start to feel? I guess there was no internet, there was no social media. There's videos were rare of the great man. And how was the influence? I mean, your Hanshi and Sensei at the time, John Taylor, had a strong influence with Hombu and Mas Oyama. What was starting to lead you towards, I guess, understanding, the black belt now and the travel to Japan, and let's start leading our way there before, we don't get.
Okay, so I'll kind of take you a step back.
Yeah.
When I started becoming better at technique and, putting a lot of effort into what I was doing, we would have team events and things like this. But in that time, there wasn't full contact tournaments.
Okay.
We used to have in New South Wales called an organisation called FACO, Federation of Karate Organisations. Others. Federation Australian Karate Organisation, and Kyokushin was aligned to that. So our tournaments used to be like non-contacts, like point sparring type thing. But in saying that, I used to probably see more guys injured in non-contact than I would see in full contact because of the sharpness or, not pulling technique back. They would just go flat out. But that was a very big eye-opener for me because Kyokushin actually dominated a lot of the fighting.
Okay.
And that's when we started, developing the low kick and things like this. And we were told, no, you can't do low kick. You can't do these certain techniques, or, you have to pull your punches, this and that. And it didn't suit us. So John Taylor, Shihan, Eddie and men, they took us in another direction of full contact.
Right.
Which aligned with the world tournament.
Yes.
And when we started training for, the world tournament stuff, that's another journey in itself.
Well, let's dive in. And if we've skipped things, like I've said to others in the past, Shihan, we hope to get you back on. This isn't just a one-off. And like I said, this could be a 6 hour. When you and I chat, we can talk for hours. So let's lead towards that, Shihan, if you don't mind. So, what were you part of the first, or was it you've seen the first and then everyone started to realize, shit, let's get to the second? Because walk us through a bit of that.
Yeah. So the first tournament we had was 74.
Yes.
Like when Sosai came out, and I was only a junior grade at that time. I think I fought a guy called Laurie Lee from Victoria or Queensland. I can't remember where he's from. And he was more senior than I, he was more senior to myself. And you know what? All I can remember was just blocking. He was throwing everything but the kitchen sink at me, and all I could do was just block. And at that time we fought at the town hall. It was the town hall.
Mm-hmm.
In Sydney. It was absolutely packed.
Yeah.
Going there to get to the tournament, the line actually went right around the street. People were lined up to get into that venue. And you got to remember, in those days, the lightweight division, the middleweight division, the heavyweight. The heavyweight division was the lightest, right? You know, like you had the less fighters, but you still had like about 30 fighters in those divisions. The middleweight division, which, you know, like I was, you know, fighting in those times. The middleweight division was probably the biggest, and then we had the lightweight division. Okay. Now over the years, the divisions have changed. Like, you know, like we used to start up to a lightweight was 75 kilos.
Okay.
Middleweight was up to 85. And then, you know, over 90 was a heavyweight.
Awesome.
So, you know, like it's made it a lot more different now, like, yeah, with the weight divisions. So, yeah, getting back to the tournament side of it, you know, like I'm seeing Sosai for the first time, I mean, just mind-boggling. I mean, like, I decided there and then, my goal was to go to Japan to train with him.
Unreal.
Right? That was my full-time goal.
How old were you?
I was 19.
All right.
19, I think.
Real fast.
Yeah.
Real ready. Yeah, keen. And how did that go? How did you?
Well, you know, like the nationals. I won the second nationals that were held in Sydney. I won the middleweight championships. 79.
What's
79? Yeah, 79. Yeah, I took out the middleweight title, and I got picked to represent Australia in the team in the second world tournament. And I had no idea how big it was going to be.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I had no idea. You know, like we're talking about like a country boy, you know, like coming into Sydney and thinking Sydney's big, but when you go to Japan, oh my God, it's another realm, to fight in front of all those people. Yeah, so, you know, for me, it was pretty scary, actually. I actually was pretty scared.
Well,
the training for it was fantastic. You know, like I think that, you know, like it was Tony Bowden, Peter Wolf, myself, and Gary Vickers, I think, at that time.
Unreal.
And they picked. So there was four from every country got picked.
Oh, okay, great. Yep.
So, you know, Sosai would pay, and Japan, and Sosai would pay for 4 fighters from every country. And we got to remember that it was over in 1979 at the Second World Tournament there in Tokyo. 4 fighters from every country, and everything paid for. The winner of that tournament was promised, okay, you know, like was promised a brand new Toyota. So you won a car and $1 million.
What?
How's that? $1 million. You were set up for life.
Oh my God. I did not know that bit. Isn't that gold?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. It was worth $1 million at that time.
I could imagine.
For the world tournament fighter. Yes.
And let's take a little bit. Let's see how your memory goes here. How, you know, you're weighing approximately what? Because I guess this is the part that I try not to intervene too much with, you know, legends like yourself that share these great stories, but people have to appreciate this is an open weight tournament. So from everyone around the world here, this is not a weight division tournament. And in the second world tournament, being exposed and now starting to see the revolution of what this amazing style offers and the attributes it brings. So how did you go? And I guess, how did you then get to the point where you were like, shit, I can't wait to come back, or what do I do from here? Go for it.
Look, you know what? I mean, the biggest things I can remember was trying to put on weight.
Okay.
I just found it so hard because we were training so hard. I was at that time wringing wet at about 73, 74 kilos.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, like, and you imagine the sweat. Remember the other thing is like the gis in that time, like we used to wear these really heavy canvas gis, and they used to be absolutely, you'd just be a pool of water underneath your feet.
Yeah.
So it was really amazing. Summertime, wintertime, they were great, but summertime, oh my God, it was just like a sauna suit. So anyway, so JT got me onto a diet of trying to eat more and like pump the weights and stuff. So I was training at that time. I was training basically 7 days a week, right? So I would do Monday karate, Tuesday weights, Wednesday karate, Thursday weights, Friday karate, Saturday weights, and then Sunday I do fitness. I'll be doing running or something like that. So I'll be so trying to keep that weight was a really hard thing for me. When I went to Japan, I was like, at that time now, I'm 23. I'm 23 years old. Okay, I think I got up to 80 kilos.
Wow.
I built up to 80 kilos. Yes.
Strong 82. I could imagine you strong as.
Yeah, and I was strong. I was young. I was strong, and, when they brought a film crew out, Sosai sent a film crew out. I don't know if you've seen the footage of that old stuff, but of myself, Tony Bowden, and I think a few, doing jump squats up and down the Opera House and training on the beach and stuff like that. That was so funny.
Was that Bondi? So, were you down in Bondi for the beach?
No, it was actually Tamarama Beach.
Tamarama, right on that pocket.
Tamarama Beach. Yeah. And what happened was I ended up as the poster boy.
Beautiful.
Because I was the only one that could do flying kicks at that time, jumping flying kicks.
Yes.
So I ended up on a poster in Japan.
Ooh.
So that was pretty cool for me. I was like, oh,
yeah. So this world tournament blows you away. Briefly, how'd you go? But then more so, like I just said, how did you, I guess, get most of it coming back? So when you came back, I mean, very rare to fly overseas as such, as a young adult. All expenses paid for. What blew you away, and then what did you come back? Because your level and standard from there on would have just gone, and it did go through the roof.
Oh, totally. I think at that stage, as a fighter, we were at an Olympic level, for Australia. So, you can look at the best Olympians, and we were up there with the best. Arriving in Tokyo, it was just, for me, it was just, we arrived at the hotel, we booked in, and then we had to go to the Budokan. That's where they held the tournament for briefing. So, with all the media and the hype and things like that, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
You actually felt like a film star. It was that good. It was that good. It wasn't like, oh, here comes the Australian team. No, you came in there and there was like photographers, media everywhere. And I mean, Sosai, Sosai had it so well organized. It was just unbelievable. We went to the Budokan. We sat down and listened to, at that time, it was the Oyama brothers give a demonstration of the rules and things like this. And it was, that in itself was scary, because when the Oyama brothers spoke, it was like this, like a roar. And he's like, Jesus Christ. And they said, this is what you have to do, this and this. And, they gave us instructions when Sosai comes in, what we have to do. And, this is where the salute came from when we walked around the Budokan. front of Sosai and stuff like that. And yeah, it was just amazing. We were given our numbers, you know, like, and again, you know, like as a young man, I was so probably naive to think about, you know, like, because karate was my life and my passion, materialistic things didn't matter to me. So, you know, like, yeah, I gave a lot of that stuff away, you know, like when I came back from Japan, and I just think, oh, God, I should have kept that, you know.
So you come back. I guess, you know, you did okay, Shihan, or did you get, you know, did you knock anyone out?
Look, I'll tell you, I was very happy with the way I fought, and I lost on the decision. I actually fought Dolph Lundgren's partner.
Oh.
Okay, another guy, like a Swedish guy. And him and I went to extensions. And anyway, I lost on the extension, right? So, on the flag. But what broke my heart even more, because there was nothing wrong with me. I was like fit, I was strong. He got through the fight and he could not fight because of the injuries he had. Right? And my next fight was Nakamura, Makoto Nakamura, the world champion. So how's that? You know what? And I was ready for him. I thought, oh my God, I'd have a go at this guy, you know?
Yeah, go on.
So I was that hungry. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was my next fight. And I thought, there was nothing wrong with me.
So I'll interrupt. Nakamura, world champion, he was I'm going to say 110 kgs.
Yes.
And you're 80 odd. Fuck. Right.
Yep.
Here we go.
Yep.
Hold on to your shit. All right, go. Did you punch him in the face? Close.
Now, you know, yeah, and you know, actually we became really good friends because, you know, like Makoto and I became good friends because I trained at Hombu and stuff like that after the world tournament and stuff like this. But yeah, you know, like I thought I had probably enough technique and stuff like that to give. I mightn't have won the fight, but I reckon I could have stood toe to toe with him, or moved around him, and thrown some really good shots at him to give him a really good fight. You know, I wouldn't have just like you know, the guy that I fought. I wouldn't have just thought, oh, you know what, I've got injuries, I can't fight anymore.
Right.
You know?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well done. Oh, that would have been a hell of an experience. He was a bull back then. He was a monster, wasn't he? So
he was a wild man. He was a wild in those days.
Very cool. So you've just segued a little bit as well. So after Japan, did you stay there for a bit? And how did you end up getting that opportunity to train at Hombu? I'd love to hear about that as well. And then starting to build your relationship.
Yeah. So after the world tournament, you know, like we stayed on, myself, Gary Vickers, Tony Bowden, and myself stayed on.
Yeah, so the three of us stayed on after the world tournament. So wanted us to stay on and train at Hombu. Right. So, you know, like, so we took advantage of the 3 classes a day we were doing. Now, the instructors, I said, Tadashi Nakamura was one of the favorite instructors, very fantastic technician. I mean, like, the Hombu, you know, we always look at Japan, we think, oh, you know, like it's, you know, like you're going to have hundreds of people in the dojo and stuff like this. But the actual Hombu was, you'd get about 60 people in there and you were shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
Right? So it was an amazing experience, okay? Because in Australia at that time, if we had 60 in a class, that was massive.
Yeah.
But this used to be like, they used to turn away people. They used to turn people away because they had no room. Yeah, so, you know, like you'd get into class, and then the reason why, you know, like I look at the Japanese, why they're such good technicians, not just because they're focused, is because they're so close to each other, they actually have to kick high. Otherwise, they're going to kick each other, So,
yeah.
So,
Fair enough.
yeah. So, they had to do that, and then, you'd be training hard for 2.5 hours, really solid. And then what would happen was 20 fresh black belts would come into the dojo just for fighting. So they don't just come in, and they just come there for the fighting. And you know what? You had to get good. You would either get smashed or you get better. And I mean, I think the first two weeks that we had there were really, really hard. That was really hard training. We learned that, what we were doing in Australia was hard. But when we got into Japanese training, it was like another 2 or 3 gears.
Oh.
Right? So in Australia you go first, second, third, you're doing really well. The Japanese would go fourth, fifth, and sixth. They'd be up there doing that. One night I remember this. One night we got invited to an old man's class. The Sensei Nanri invited us to an old man's class. He wanted to, meet with the foreigners and stuff like this. So we go to this old man's class, and this is, in the Hombu, but in another part of the dojo.
Yep.
It was downstairs, off to the side. So anyway, the old man's class, they call an old man's class like 40, right? Up to like 40 years old and over. So we get into the old man's class and, we're going to do this. We're young, we're fit, we're strong. Oh my God. They started off with 1,000 Maikiagis. 1,000.
Holy shit.
Right? It took us, honestly, it took us about 25 minutes just to do the Maikiagis, and then they start training.
Was that in Irogeko or just standing in?
Just standing. 500 each leg. Yeah. And you had to keep up.
Yeah.
That was my first introduction to 1,000 technique.
Yeah.
1,000 Maikiagis. And I have to tell you this, because when I came back from Japan, I was so fit and so strong. At that time, Shihan Taylor and I had a dojo in Bondi Junction. We were upstairs above a fish shop. And we had a really good class. We used to have like about 30, 40 students a class. When I came back after 2 weeks, we only had like 2 students left. Because I was doing this 1,000 Maikiagis.
Yeah, you turned into beast mode, as they say. You just went. You went into the 5th and 6th gear. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was in the 5th and 6th gear. Yeah. So that was amazing.
Wow.
The Hombu training was totally different. We got to train with Sosai. Sosai would run a class every Sunday. He called it the big man's class. So, you had to be, you weren't allowed to be a small person. You had to be good size. And he was just amazing. He'd sit down, and says, and speaking Japanese, we'd be sitting in Sezo and blah, 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 listening to him talk about things and about technique. And they'd be talking about the foreigners, how strong the foreigners are and how big we are. And then he'd be telling the Japanese that they must, smash us and beat us, and, break us. Yeah. So this was all explained to me later. I'm thinking, oh my God. So, after 40, 45 minutes of sitting and says, you'd be just.
Oh, hold on. Shit. So while he's just talking and chipping away, you're in Cezanne on the floor. Oh, fuck.
And so is he.
Yeah.
And so is he.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. 45 minutes later, he tells us to get up, we start training. We cut, your legs are numb, you can't move, and my God. He just gets up and he drops into the splits.
Oh, man.
right? He just drops into the splits, chest down on the ground,
and
then he starts training. Just like, right, each knee, son, like nothing's happened. I mean, like, I looked at him and everyone's just amazed.
Yeah.
Because like at that time then, Sosai wasn't a young man, He was getting on in age as well. So yeah. And I thought, my God, to be like that at that age, and I thought, oh my God, I want to be like that. I want to be like that when I get to it, So yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah,
well,
so,
you've got me. I'm just going to stretch out here. That's cool.
We just learnt so much. I mean, like a couple of times. I mean, the Japanese were very big on stretching. And I wasn't, like myself. I was pretty good. I was flexible because I probably so thin at that time and nimble, and wanted to get ahead and everything. So one of the things the Japanese did, if you were very tight, they would just come along, get your feet. How we sit. With your knees out to the side and stuff like this, butterfly stretch, we call it. Right? So you pull your feet in. Well, the Japanese would just come along and just jump on your legs and bang, And a couple of times I'd turn around and, I'd hear, my comrades, especially Gary Vickers, because Gary was never flexible. So when Tony and I'd be turning around, we'd looking at him and we'd be laughing our heads off, like quietly, watching Gary go, oh!
Of course, the Shihan Gary out there. I'll have a chat with him later on.
Yeah. He was good. It was good fun for the Japanese, and the more noise he'd make, of course, the Japanese would bloody make it even harder, So we'd spend more time stretching. Oh God.
Very good.
The fortunate thing was like after a couple of months, of training in Hombu and stuff like that, Gary and Tony had to come back to Australia, and I was left there on the last month I spent on my own. So that was around December. Like I had Christmas actually in Japan, so it was a really, really hard time for me as well. Being alone, like being like basically like the only Australian there, foreigners. There were Americans there, but they didn't really interact with us that much.
Yes.
So and of course my Japanese wasn't great either. Still isn't great.
No.
Tried so many times, but So one day, like this is a very great memory for me. I trained Ichibu, trained Nebu, and then I went and I wanted to go out and have some lunch. So from Hombu, I went and got some lunch. And we used to have this restaurant near Hombu where Sosai would tell us to go and eat. And they would always have this stuff called cat's curry. Cat's curry. Don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's just basically a curry with a little bit of meat and rice.
Yeah. It's on the pictures. It's on the pictures when we go to Japan. You just point at it. Katsukari. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, that's what Sosai's friend. He used to own the restaurant. So like at that time, that was my Christmas lunch, and I was sitting there, eating this cat's curry, thinking, oh my God, everyone's back in Australia having, like bloody roast chicken and turkey and, like all this good stuff. And here I am. This is all all I could afford. So, all of a sudden we hear this, like Sosai comes in to the restaurant, says, Jim-san, and just orders me a huge meal.
Oh, man.
Just the best thing, mate. Just orders me a huge meal for Christmas, It was just one of the best feelings and the best days that I ever had in my career, as a karateka. So I'll always remember that, So, yeah, a lot of the things that we shared with Sosai, like a very dear. But that's one of the greatest memories that I have from him as a human being. He walked in, I think Sosai always had a soft side for the foreigners because he knew how hard we tried. We would try so hard, and the Japanese, being the Japanese, would always, come down harder on us. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That see what I said at the start, and we spoke offline. I said there'll be something that may pop up that maybe no one's heard of, and bless you, Shihan. Thanks for sharing the little simple thing and how it affected you as such, because the influence of this man and your leaders and and as I say, the forefathers of Kyokushin, more so in Australia, and you sharing the stories of Tony Bowden, Peter Wolf, and Gary Vickers and those guys, and I hope I get to them later on. But I appreciate you sharing that, because I'm trying to keep that. I'm trying to keep that alive, and that's my passion. That's my vision here in doing this, and making sure that the future students respect and appreciate, the hard work, the dedication, the sacrifices that you guys committed for, your country as such under Kyokushin, and then allowed the pathway for us to go for it, like you guys did.
One of the greatest things that I'll always be thankful in karate is where it's taken me. Like, it's taken me, just around the world, basically. It's taken me around the world, and I've met so many good people, like I've trained with so many good instructors like Shihan Bobby Lowe. That's another story in itself, Yeah. I'd love to talk to you about him one day, like training with Shihan Bobby Lowe.
Well, it's very difficult. I don't mean it with any disrespect for anyone out there. I never cut a Shihan off. Let's start there. But I mean, like I said, we can do something here in respect of, if you would like to talk about that now, I'm happy to do that, because we can catch you later on. And that's what I'm trying to comprehend and respect for everyone out there. To put such masters into a 1 hour conversation is one of the hardest things I've had to do every week in preparing for these podcasts, because I'm cutting them well short, and I mean it with all respect. And Shihan, it's up to you, but if you wish to talk about that now for half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever you like, let's do it. Because to catch you guys, or to catch you in this moment is very rare, and I see that as a blessing. And I have something on my shoulder that taps me, that says, no, you've got him. You've got to try and get the most out of him. So if you can, that'd be amazing, because Shihan Billy has his memories of Shihan Bobby Lowe. Not too many have spoken about him in the guests that I've had, respectfully, again, in the time that we've had. So, there could be a part 2 to this, and I'm segueing here. There is a part 2 to this as such, but could you talk about that? That would be amazing.
Yeah. Look, you know what? I want to hang on to that memory and talk to you about it later, because
perfect.
That, I spent a lot of time with Shihan Bobby Lowe at seminars, and also living with him. So I was sort of that was a big thing for me. So I'd like to share that with you later, if you don't mind, Patch.
Unbelievable. I appreciate you and your honesty there. No problem. Let's continue on. So, yeah, you've had to train with all these amazing masters. And again, I apologize for cutting you off. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Just, it's just been amazing. One of the things I got to tell you is what happened when Sosai came to Australia, first time to Australia. Yes. And he came to the YMCA. This is, so, my memory's all over the place, and I'm just sort of capturing things. Yeah, capturing things, and I'm thinking, we had a huge class at the YMCA, and then Sosai comes in with Daigo Oishi.
What?
Daigo Oishi, and I think Azuma at that time. Sosai brought those 2 people over with him. And anyway, they walked in, and oh my God, then we started training and this and that, doing our Kion. This is, something that we've never ever seen before. And this is before the world tournament. Okay. So, he's come over and he's like, okay, do this and that. And then he gets Oishi up there to start doing kicks, you know, more shigeris and stuff like this. Oh my God. And then we're doing, I think we did probably about 200 kicks or something like this. And we're all buggered by that time, right? And then Sosai says something to them, you know, about sparring and that. And he said, and Azuma and Oishi were ready to do sparring. And he says, Sosai said, next time we come, we will do sparring. And all our hearts, we just went, oh my God, thank Christ for that.
Shit, I could imagine.
Yeah, that was funny. It was so funny. I thought, oh my God, how do you beat these guys? You know, you think, oh my God, these guys are just machines.
Yeah.
We had never seen anything like it, you know. And, you know, now traveling back to Japan, like when I first went there, you know, like my first experience of Japan, I'm looking around and I'm thinking, you know, like the Japanese, the normal Japanese person at that time was only very small. You know, you're still in kimono. And yeah, you know, probably the height of the Japanese ladies were about 5 foot. Yeah, the men were about 5'4", 5'5" at that time. And I was just amazed at, you know, like these small people were so strong, but yet something captured me in Japan that I'll always treasure, and that was the respect and their custom. You know, one of the best things that we as foreigners or Westerners could learn from the Japanese is about respect. You know, so, you know, in all my teachings and, you know, like through Australia, even New Zealand, I always try and keep that as a focal point in my training. Even when I visit other dojos, you know, like sometimes I find it, you know, like very, very hard because I find that people will take what they want out of Kyokushin, but they don't take the philosophy and the ideology of respect as well as the technique. And I think that's very much they have to stay together. You know, they must stay together. No. So this is why, you know, we work with Hanshi Hasagawa, and, you know, like he's very big on that respect.
Okay, I'm loving this. Shihan, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that is a nice reminder to us all. Definitely, I try to uphold that as best I can, and yeah, I appreciate you reminding all of us that, and that's important. Like we just gestured, so you've done many trips around the world, and you spend a lot of time with Shihan Babilo. We'll get to that. So you then come, you know, you're in Australia, and now it's blossoming. It's at its full blossom. It's at its strongest time, mid 80s, late 80s, around that, I'm assuming. And
80s,
yeah, you're one of the, you know, top lads in respect of, you know, late 20s now, early 30s. Okay, here we go. Let's continue on as best we can here for, you know, in what pops up in your head here. How are you seeing the growth of Kyokushin under the banner here in Australia, under the one organisation, and the responsibility of, you know, yourself and Hanshi Taylor and Hanshi Eddie Emin at the time, and those you know, legends?
Oh, look, I look at it. I look at Kyokushin as being the pinnacle of karate, at that time. There were over 300 dojos within inside of Australia at that time, Kyokushin, and we were all as one group. You know, one group. So the AKKA and you know, Hanshi Eddie, I think was the IKKO at the time. But we all came under that one banner. And I think we're just privileged to have such good leaders at that time too, you know, to build the organisation up and as such. The tournaments, I've come back from Japan, I'm fit and I'm strong. And anyway, I get to go to Queensland to fight. So I end up fighting my old friend Cameron Quinn in the finals.
Cool.
So Cameron Quinn this is the middleweight titles. So Cameron and I, ended up in a nice big battle there. And the funny thing is, unbeknown to us, when I arrived, back from Australia, kept training and stuff in Sydney, and then we had the nationals held in I think it was Brisbane at that time. Cameron and I shared a room, together. So the night before the tournament, we've gone out, we've gone running, we're chatting, blah blah blah. Just good friends,
Sure.
So making good friends. And then the next day, we're on the battlefield, right? So totally different objects again. New South Wales, Queensland, So yeah, Cameron and I battled it out for middleweight position, and and I remember taking Cameron, with the Shidaski, and I put that down to my training in Japan. Shidaski wasn't a favorite technique of mine. I was always kicking, but then when I trained in Japan, Shidaski, like those rips and those hooks, totally domineering in fights, and that's what I came back with. From there, we go on to 83, which is the Opera House tournament. So, and you've got to look at this. Nothing, there's been never a karate organization ever had a tournament or even a boxing fight in the Opera House.
Yeah.
And Kyokushin, under John Taylor at the time, Kyokushin, and, was the first in that era to hold a tournament at the Opera House. Again, I dropped weight for that because the weight division. I dropped under 70 kilos. So I've gone from Japan,
80s.
and I've dropped all that weight back down, right? So to go to 70 kilos. So I weighed in at 69. And, I'll go back a little bit because this is the story. This is my story. I actually went running the day before around Centennial Park in Sydney, and I run bare feet. Most of the time I run bare feet. And you wouldn't believe it, that day I ended up, with these big palm trees, the palm trees that they have in Centennial Hall.
Yes.
They've got big prongs, those sharp prongs.
Oh, yes, shit. Yes.
Yeah, and I stood on one of those, and it broke into the heel of my foot. So I ended up having to go to the hospital to get them to take it out.
Yeah.
And it was like a good couple of inches long.
Oh.
So at that time, I was living in a place called Mascot, where my dojo is now in Sydney.
Yep.
Not far from here. I decided, I had to prepare myself for that tournament. I actually ran from Mascot to the Opera House that morning for the tournament.
Righto. That's about, for people, that's about 8, 9, 10 Ks maybe, just under.
Yeah. I ran. I got there already psyched up for the whole thing. Big bandage around my foot.
Okay.
On the heel. And I fought as a lightweight. Sosai brought out a guy called Kikamoto, which is one of his uchideshi. Now, I didn't know much about Kikamoto. I'd never seen him before. He was, obviously later on that Sosai brought these guys out. He brought out a middleweight and he brought out a lightweight. Anyway, Kikamoto was my third. First was a Kiwi. And, the thing is, I haven't got any videos of it, but you'll see, I think someone videotaped that fight where I've actually taken the knee out on one of those guys, the Kiwi. It was in the first 30 seconds, I think, of the fight. So he was gone. I can't remember my second fight, but I know third fight was Kikamoto. And, sorry, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. So semi-final and final. Semi-final, I think, was Kikumoto. Yes, that's right. Yes, Kikumoto. So I took Kikumoto out, and we've been developing. You know how we're doing the overhead Brazilian kick?
Yes.
That Brazilian kick, right? Well, we had a little, like, no way that mine was as good as that, right? As Glorbe or those guys, right? But the roundhouse kick that we developed was straight through.
Mm-hmm.
JT had me working on this kick. Anyway, so what happened was when I came up to Kikumoto, I threw a combination of punches, threw a roundhouse kick, and then same leg, come back and hooked him with a spinning back kick.
Oh, my lordy. Yeah.
But it was that roundhouse kick that set up that spinning back kick.
Yes, gotcha.
And that's what dropped him. Yeah. So, you know, like at that time, I'll just say this in my career, I've never ever stood in front of a crowd where everyone stood up and cheered.
Right.
You know, they stood up and cheered. I was, you know, like I was kind of overwhelmed with the whole thing. I went, wow. You know, like I've done something. What have I done?
Yeah.
You know, the thing, you being a fighter, you know, nothing's planned. It just happens.
Yes. Yes.
As a fighter, you don't plan things. It's reaction.
Yes.
So, you know, most of your technique is just on reaction time.
Yeah. Very
so,
good.
yeah. So then Robert Mclaughlin was my final fight.
All right.
Yeah, so, and I took Robbie. Actually, Robbie was my hardest bloody fight of that whole tournament because he was so, you know, like he was short, but he'd come underneath my guard. He'd get under my guard and stuff like this. And he had really good balance too. Like, so his center of gravity was really good. And I found it really hard to fight him. But, you know, like I set him up, you know, like in those days, my left leg was my best kick from Washigiri. So I used to have this like roundhouse kick, and I set him up with one of those, you know, like, so I go for a low kick, hit him a couple of times, and then I throw it in there again and then just change direction.
Beautiful.
And, you know, like, yeah. So, you know, like, so a few things come to mind in those days is that, you know, like Walter Schnabelt, Gary O'Neill and those guys, you know, sitting in the crowd, you know, like, and you know, like I often, you know, like at one stage there, Walter showed me a photo of it. He says, hey, remember this, you know? And I was like, wow. I said, I didn't even know you then, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, good memories, you know, and I mean, like I respect those guys, you know, like very much because they, again, took Kyokushin Australia to another level.
Well, there you have it. Well, great highlights there, Shihan. I appreciate that. So, you know, again, we, you know, work towards, you know, that phase of the mid-late 80s and, you know, the world tournaments.
Yeah, that was the 80s, yes.
So you would have stopped, you would have fought in the second and third world tournament? So
No, I didn't. I got injured. I got injured in the third tournament for the second world, injured for the third world tournament. I didn't compete, but I fought again in Australia, like before the tournament, 1990. So when Sosai came out again. Now this is this was a big thing because I had left the AKK organization and joined Shihan Eddie. I joined his organization. You know, like I won't go into the political side of it, but just the way it happened with, you know, like I fall out with my instructor and it just wasn't working for me. So anyway, Howard Lippman and John Williams were the focal point at that time for Sosai to run a national tournament in Australia again because of the upheaval that we had.
Okay.
So Sosai actually put Hanshi Howard Lippman in charge of Australia at that time. Like this is New South Wales, and Shihan John Williams. They were both Shihans at that time. So they were both put in charge of New South Wales. Anyway, 1990, Sosai comes out again. So I've kind of like, after, getting injured, I've kind of gone into a semi-retirement because I'm training guys at this time. Anyway, so as I'm training, I'm getting fitter and stronger. So I says, oh, bugger this, I might as well enter again.
Yeah.
So I might as well train back up for, for fights, So I'm enjoying the training. I'm enjoying, sparring and things like this, plus running my dojo and, building the organization up. And so, I'm down at the right weight. I'm at 70 kilos. So I fight again. And that was 1990, and that was my retirement after that. So I took up the lightweight division again.
Oh.
Yep. Took up the lightweight division again, and then I was meant to retire, and then I went away to Hawaii to fight again in Hawaii the next year, the following year, as a lightweight. And again, I said, I'll share those stories with you another time.
Very good. Well, I guess, let's, it's, I don't even know how long it's been, but, I guess let's do a bit of a full stop as such, because we should, I appreciate you offering your time firstly now, but obviously we can see that this is going to lead into a part 2. So I guess let's, I'm kind of caught off guard into a respect here, but so we're into about 1990. Let's take a halt, everyone, on that. Let's give Shihan a bit of a break, and I guess for everyone out there, as you can start to appreciate, there's just so much to highlight, discuss, or just even in respect hear these amazing stories. And Shihan, let's just put a pause on it. I don't know when we can catch you again, but thanks so much for sharing so much already. I have to stretch because you had me on the edge of my seat in just listening to this. And I've, been friends with you for 20 years, and haven't heard half of those stories, So, and again, I hope you understand that when I can get someone in a moment, it is so special. It is a very special blessing that I can chat firstly, but then secondly to have someone of your caliber to just talk openly with someone like myself, and to share with everyone else out there is another thing. So thank you for that. Let's call it a part 1 for now, but let's look forward to part 2, and we can spread it out as much as we can. This is a cool thing I'm doing. It's fun. I love everyone's I guess respect towards it, and it is I'm finding some challenges at the minute, because there are so many thoughts on who's next and why, and where do I head off and who do I chat to, and there's so many legends that I've got to get a hold of, and future stars, I'm calling them as such. We've got to continue to promote and show that the future stars of who's coming up. So on that note, I guess let's give everyone a bit of a thanks from your end. But, do you have anything to add or leave us with into your part 2 where we might catch you in about a month or 2's time?
Yeah, so many stories to share, Patch, as I said, with people around the world, and, from Canada, like Stuart Corrigal and, all those guys. Just some fantastic stories. One of the things I will leave you with, as we go, is that, taking 3 national titles, fighting, for Australia is probably, one of the best things I've ever done in my whole life. To wear that green and gold, okay, I hope my son gets to do that one day. I'm training my son now, and I'm hoping he gets to wear the green and gold at a world tournament, So I think, you've fought yourself. You've represented Australia in world tournaments, and you know what it's like. And it's such a privilege, and such a high honor. Yeah. Okay. And because of people like Hanshi Eddie and men, and Hanshi John Taylor, that we've got this far in Australia.
No, and great summary there of part one. You know, a highlight of your full contact side up to 1990, and more so the passion that you have. And we can talk about the part two of where the next, you know, present and is going to head, and when you're, you know, the group that you and Shihan that we're a part of with Zen Kyokushin, and we'll look forward to talking further about the next part of from 1990 to 2020. Let's see how we go.
Thank you very much, guys.
Shihan, thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Us.